Hello everyone, I'm Harshika Narula and I have a really interesting project today. I'm from class 9th C and today I've made a project on random forest regression. So before I explain what is random forest regression, I would like you all to know that in this project I will be showing the basic, you can say, basically we'll be training the model, then we'll be testing the model, and then we'll be checking the accuracy score. So now let's start. First, I'd like to explain what is regression, or you can say random forest regression. So, whenever you want to take out an output or you want to predict an output, it can be of three types. But mainly we use only two types, which is classification and regression. So classification is basically when we just need an answer in yes or no. Regression is a You can say regression is when we need the output in a predicted number. So random forest is, you can say, it's a module, you can say, which we'll use for our regression in the model. So let's start. So the first lines are from google.colab import files. So I basically just imported my IPL dataset. You can use any dataset you have. And then we have some imports. I'll explain a few of them which are new. First, we have all those usually which we use, which is pandas, numpy, seaborn, matplotlib. We won't be using all of these, but I usually always import all the things I'll be needing in the project. So it's so like I don't have to go back every time to see what I've imported. So I just import everything that might come in use. So I've imported decision tree classifier. It is inside the random tree forest, and this is random forest classifier. And mean squared error is these three lines are very important. And there's also sklearn.preprocessing. And you can also import sklearn.metrics, which is for the confusion matrix, accuracy score, etc. We also have this regression bar, but we might not need to use it. In my previous project, I have explained these types of regressions. If you want, you can go back and see the regression project. Next, we have pd.read_csv. So basically, we're just reading the file, which in my case is the IPL.csv. You need to put in the codes whatever is the name of your dataset. And then there is df.info. It will just give you a basic idea about the null values and about the different columns, the data types, etc. So next, I read the info. I read every the you can say the output I got, and I saw which of these things are not important for me. Like first, before I explain that, I want to show you that in this whole code, in the end, what do you want to predict? I'll just show the data set once. So this is the data set I've used. In this, you can see there are so many teams and there are seasons, match date, toss decision, and so many things. But to predict the output that I want, I might not be needing this. So, as we all know, that whenever we want to predict something, there has to be something that we predict. Like, what should be the output? Should the output be the toss decision? Should the output be who wins the match? Or should the output be, you can say, mm, result? No, result might not be one of them. Result margin. So in this case, I am using result margin as my output. It can also be target runs. It can be anything you want to predict. So you can see, as I told you in regression, we need to predict a number. You can see there is 140, 33, 6, 5, 9, and so on. The output can be anything. And then we have, oh right, sorry. So in this, we need to first decide what will come as x and what will come as y. So x is the dependent variables and y is the independent variable. I think it is opposite. Y is the dependent variable and x is the independent variable. So x are all these columns which I'll be using to predict y, which is this column. So now let's see the code once again. These are the 16 columns that I have. I don't need to use all of these to predict my answer. So I'll be using df.drop to drop a few of them. So these are the few columns that I drop. And in place is equal to true is very important if you're using collab. Because in collab, the changes you make in one code section will not come in the other code section. So now that I've deleted, I've done df.info once again. And this is what I got. I have dropped 5 columns. Now you can see I have done a df.drop_na. Now you might be wondering what is df.drop_na? Well, df.drop_na is nothing. It is just like the null values. I'll just show over here. Sometimes in the code there are a few null values. Like over here, this space is not filled. This space is not filled. Now these two values I don't need. Like it might just like if the like I'm predicting the result margin. So if it gets an empty entry, it will take it as 0 and it will ruin the, you can say, the percentage or the result. And if I have an empty box over here, it might just like, give an error that it is a null value. That is why before the error comes, I've done df.drop_na in place is equal to true. As I told you, in place is equal to true is very important. Now it is df.drop_na is not only for the columns, it is not only for the rows, it's also for the columns. Now, if a column is empty, it might just remove it. But right now, we don't have any empty columns, so it has not removed anything. Now, next, we have defined x and y, just like I told you. So, for defining x, instead of writing the name of each and every column, I've just done df.drop result margin, comma access equal to 1, which means it will take the whole data set as x except result.margin. And as I've already dropped a few of them, it shouldn't be a problem about the quantity. And then y is just df.result margin. And then I have used one hot encoder. Now, one hot encoder, like over here you can see Chennai Super Kings and Rajasthan Royals. Let's take these two examples. So when you see these two teams, these are the name of them is like Rajasthan Royals. Now, how will the AI or how will the program or how will the module understand what is Rajasthan Royals? It's not like the dataset watches the IPL or the module knows what is Rajasthan Royals. So we need to put it into binary form, which is 1 and 0. It can also be in 2 or 3. Like it's not compulsory in binary form, it's compulsory in number form. Like in integer or sometimes float. In this case, float will not work. We only have to use integer. So for integer, to convert it into integers, I'll have to make dummies for it. So I have done pd.getDummies x, comma drop first is equal to true. Which means, for example, let's take these column. Now in this column, you can see there is 1, 2, and for example, let's say there is 1, 2, and 3. Now, according to the code, it will create 3 more columns named as 1, 2, and 3. Now, in 1, it will write true, and for 2, it will write false. So, like, basically, what it will do is make 3 columns over here. Suppose these are the 3 columns it has made. This will be the column for 1, this will be the column for 2, and this will be the column for 3. And the name, and like, whenever, suppose Rajasthan Royals field and this particular match which was held in Jaipur, I have to write if it was in league. It is league, right? No, it is season. So suppose these are the 3 new columns it has created. Now I need to see if this Kolkata Knight Riders, if it is which was held in the city Kolkata, this is in 1, 2, or 3. Now, of course, for 1 it will write, for example, right now it is in 1. So for 1 it will write true, for 2 it will write false, and for 3 also it will write false. So Can we say that if we did not have the third row, if you only had two rows, it will still work? Let's just find another number. So, yeah, for example, here is 6. And let's just take 6 as 3 for now because I gave the example of 1, 2, 3. And we have this match over here, which was held in Pune. It is coded as 6. So, for which now we'll be taking as 3. So, for 1, it will be false, and for 2 also, it will be false. So, the code will instantly understand that it is a 3. We don't have to specifically define that it was true for the third one. So it will write false, false. Now next, I have separated it into or split it into X train, X test, Y train and Y test. So for that, I have written X train, X train, X test, Y train, Y test is equal to train underscore test underscore split. In the bracket, there is X Y test size is equal to 0.2 random state is equal to 28. Now x comma y is basically just the x and y that we just made. The test size is basically how much. I'm sorry. How much? What should be the size of the x test and y test? So like, should it be 0.2% of the whole, 0.3% of the whole? We usually use 0.2 or 0.3, not more than that, because then it affects the training of the data. And then the random state. Random state is just basically like every time you open the data, every time you run this code, you don't want a different output. You want the same output. And for that, the random state should be 28. For example, the first time I got an accuracy of 98%, I rerun everything and I got an accuracy of 58%. Now that will be a loss for me. If I got 98%, I need to stick on it. So for that, I will put a random state. Whenever the state is 28, this will be the output. If I change the state right now, my output will also be changed. Next, I've used random forest regressor and I fitted my X train and Y train in the regressor. And then using the regressor, I have predicted it. You can see these three lines. So when I predicted the module using the random forest regressor, I have took the output in a variable called y predict. And then in the next line, I have predicted the R2 score. Now, whenever we are using regression or whenever we are getting an output which is in the form of regression, we will always be checking the R2 score and not the accuracy score. So then we got the mean squared error, and you can see that the R2 score was 0.29 and the mean squared error was 292. 292 is a really big number if you ask me, but considering the data set, which was not very clear, I say that it was a nice score that we got. So now this was Grid Search CV. It is there for some other project someday. So I really hope you liked my video and I really hope it helped you. And enjoy coding and thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel to get more interesting videos on different codes. Thank you.